until we have compiled the baskets of the sacred words. And then we will enter into nirvana as we please. All who had come to the assembly accepted this command and remained. Then Kasyapa the Great chose 1,000 individuals. With the exception of Ananda, all were arhats, having acquired the 6 superknowledges, liberation, complete and without any doubt. All had acquired the 3 knowledges, mastery of samadhi, they could practice the samadhis in a forward or reverse direction. All were without obstacles, they recited the 3 baskets, and understood the inner and outer sacred scriptures. They recited and knew fully the 18 kinds of great sutras of the heretical sects, and all of them were able to conquer the heterodox in debate. Question: since there were incalculable numbers of such arhats, why were only 1,000 chosen and no more? Answer: when King Pinpo Solo found the path, 84,000 dignitaries also found the path. Then the king decreed this command in the palace: let there always be enough rice to offer to 1,000 people. King chö-che, ajatasatru, did not break this rule. Thus Kasyapa the Great said to himself, if we continue to beg our food endlessly, the heretics will object to us violently and will suppress our rules. Presently in the city of Wang, rice is constantly supplied to 1,000 men. That is where we should dwell in order to recite the baskets of the texts. It was for that reason that 1,000 men were chosen and no more. Then Kasyapa the Great, accompanied by 1,000 men, went to the city of Rajagṛha on the mountain kiue. He said to King Ajatasatru, give us food. Let someone bring us our food each day. We are about to compile the baskets of the texts here and we will be unable to occupy ourselves with anything else. In this place, at the time of the summer retreat, the 15th day of the 3rd month, at the time of the recitation of the precepts, having gathered together the Samga, Kasyapa the Great entered into samadhi. With his divine eye, he contemplated to see if, in the present assembly, there was someone who had not yet completely subdued the afflictions whom it was necessary to expel. Ananda was the only person who had not completely subdued them. The other 9 had already destroyed the impurities, they were pure and stainless. Kasyapa the Great, coming out of samadhi, led Ananda by the hand out of the assembly and said to him, here in this pure assembly, they are going to recite the baskets of the texts. Your bonds are not yet suppressed, you must not stay here. Then Ananda wept with shame and thought, for 25 years I accompanied the Bhagavat. I served him. I was at his disposal. I have never yet suffered such great sorrow. The Buddha was truly venerable, compassionate and patient. Having had this thought, he said to Kasyapa the Great, in the long run, I would have had the strength to find the path, but in the Buddhadharma, arhats must not serve anyone, must not be at the disposal of anyone, must not carry out anyone's orders. It is for that reason that I have kept a trace of bonds and have not completely broken them. Kasyapa the Great said, however, you have committed faults. The Buddha was unwilling that women should leave home. You insistently begged the Buddha to allow him to practice the path. For this reason, the proper law of the Buddha will be exhausted at the end of 500 years and will diminish. In this you have committed a duskarta fault. Ananda said, I was sorry for kiue and me. Gautami. Moreover, in the doctrine of the Buddhas of the 3 times, there are always 4 categories of disciples. Why would our Buddha Sakyamuni be the only one not to have them? Kasyapa the Great again said, when the Buddha was about to enter into nirvana, he came to the city of kiue. Kazinagara. He was suffering from a backache. 4 upper robes were laid down one on top of another. He lay down and said to you, I need some water. You did not give him any. In that you committed a duskarta fault. Ananda replied, At that time, 500 chariots were crossing the stream, making the water turbid and impure. This is why I did not take any. Kasyapa the Great again said, exactly, if the water was impure, the Buddha had miraculous power strong enough to purify an ocean of impure water. Go and confess your duskrita fault. Again Kasyapa the Great said, the Buddha summoned you. A man learned in the practice of the 4 bases of miraculous power could remain in this world for a kalpa or a fraction of a kalpa. You remained silent without answering. He questioned you 3 times and you remained silent. If you had answered him, the Buddha, learned in the practice of the 4 bases of miraculous power, would have remained in this world for a kalpa or a fraction of a kalpa. Because of you, the Buddha has prematurely entered into nirvana. In that, you have committed a duskrita fault. Ananda said, Mara clouded my mind. That is why I did not speak. It was not out of maliciousness that I did not answer the Buddha. Again Kasyapa the Great said, you have stepped on the samhati of the Buddha. In that you have committed a duskrita fault. Ananda said, at that time, a great wind arose and there was no one to help me. While I was holding the robe, the wind blew and it fell beneath my foot. It is not out of disrespect that I stepped on the Buddha's robe. Again Kasyapa the Great said, you showed the women the mark of cryptorchidee of the Buddha after he entered into parinirvana. Is that not shameful? In that you have committed a duskrita fault. Ananda said, at that time I thought, if the women see the Buddha's mark of cryptorchidee, they will feel ashamed of their own female body and want to obtain a male body so as to plant the roots of merit with the view of realizing Buddhahood. This is why I showed the women his organs. It is not out of impudence that I have broken the precepts. Kasyapa the Great said, you have committed 6 kinds of duskrita faults. You must confess these faults completely in the Samga. Ananda said that he agreed and that he would follow the instructions of the Ayosmart Mahakasyapa and the Samga. Then Ananda fell to his knees, joined his palms together, uncovered his right shoulder, took off his leather sandals and confessed his 6 kinds of duskrita faults. Kasyapa the Great took Ananda by the hand out of the Samga and said to him, completely destroy your impurities and then you can re-enter. Do not return until your last bonds are broken. Having spoken thus, he himself shut the door. Then the arhats deliberated in these terms. Who can recite the Vinaya and the Dhammapitaka? The Ayosmata Nilu Teou. Aniruddha said, under Chö-Sariputra, the second Buddha, there was an excellent disciple called Kiau Poti in the Sin language, ox breath. Gentle and kind, he dwells constantly in closed retreat. He abides in the calmness of the mind. He knows the Vinaya and Dhammapitaka. Now he abides in the heavens of the Che Li Cha Chu Yuan. Let a messenger be sent to ask him to come. Kasyapa the Great said to a recently ordained bhikksu, are you under the orders of the Samga? The recently ordained bhikksu answered, what does the Samga command? Kasyapa the Great said, the Samga requests you to go to the heavens of the Sarisavana, to the dwelling of the Arhat Gavampati. Carried away with joy, the bhikksu received the orders of the Samga. He said to Kasyapa the Great, when I have reached the Arhat Gavampati, what shall I say to him? Kasyapa the Great said, when you arrive there, you will say to Gavampati, Kasyapa the Great and the other arhats who have destroyed the impurities have all assembled in Jambudvipa. There is great business for the Samga related to the doctrine. Come quickly. See, the recently ordained bhikksu prostrated himself before the Samga and circumambulated it 3 times to the right, like the bird with golden wings. He took his leave into space. He came to Gavampati, prostrated and